beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, local SEO expert and agency owner, none other than Mr. Bradley Banner.
How are you?
Well, I'm fabulous, Mr. Bradley, and welcome on Abstract Cafe. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure. Bradley Benner. I own and run, operate several SEO related businesses. We have a training and information product business where we coach and help others that, individuals that want to learn local marketing and local SEO and actually build a business around it. We don't just teach SEO tactics, but we teach how to build an actual business around it. As an agency owner, that's kind of my specialty is trying to help people to develop their own kind of local marketing agency and then run it. Because there's a lot that goes into running a business, not just ranking stuff in Google, you know what I mean? And so, and then I also have a number of white label service agencies. So we provide SEO fulfillment services for other local marketing agencies. And that's actually kind of where we're shifting most of our focus to this year in 2026. And that's what's actually displayed on the screen is our white label link building service, because so much has changed recently with with AI implementation and with language models, et cetera. The way that we should be optimizing to promote local businesses in search no longer is just for Google search. It's really, we have to optimize for language model search as well, or AI search. And so a lot of stuff has shifted, and we see some opportunity to help local marketing agencies kind of keep up with the current changes, where I see a lot of agencies are falling short currently.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Bradley. Thank you. And today, let's talk about how to better implement process to scale your business online. So, when is the right time to shift from hassle to process? Many founders fear losing their agility. What is the clear signal that lack of system is now bigger threat moving slowly?
Well, now because of AI, when AI can automate so much, I mean, there still needs to be a human in the loop for a lot of things, at least currently, but that's shifting so fast. It's likely not going to be the case in just a few months that AI can potentially take over where and execute tasks and even potentially decision-making processes that humans typically do. I know because I'm working on trying to develop some AI assistance for some of the decision-making process that I do as the founder of the SEO agencies. A lot of SEO decisions still come through me, and I, as a founder, you talk about founder syndrome, where people talk about founder syndrome, where there's certain things that I just feel like I can't let go of, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And one of those for me is the SEO decisions, because I've been doing SEO for like 16 years now. And so I feel obligated to be involved in all of the decision making when it comes to what to do with client campaigns. And so I can be the bottleneck. And I think that's the case for a lot of small businesses or local businesses, businesses that serve local markets, and even agencies, is that there are bottlenecks that can be improved or reduced or even potentially eliminated by using AI effectively and wisely. And that's where I think the biggest opportunity is right now, is to identify things within either a local business operations, or even for the types of clients that we serve are agencies that serve local business clients. And there's a lot of things that can be automated, or at least semi-automated, using AI. And building processes is the first way to do that. Like, you can't automate a process in your business without having it clearly defined and really developed into like an SOP, a step-by-step procedure. That's the way that you would then automate it. So I always recommend the first thing is to identify, repetitive tasks and things that take considerable, time, that have to be repeated over and over and over again, because the quickest way to kind of really grow and scale the business is to get automate or eliminate any kind of repetitive task if possible. And with AI, I think it can be done properly to where a lot of the repetitive tasks are things that take a lot of time consistently. You can recover that time if you just invest in building the automations. So that's going to allow more time back into, you know, creative and higher level activities and things like that, like generating more revenue, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I think the biggest opportunity is right now.
Interesting, Mr. Bradley. So, what is the single most common process myth that holds back online businesses from scaling effectively? Is it belief that the process kills creativity or something else?
So what holds people back, our businesses back from scaling? I think a lot of the times it has to do with, again, not having processes. And I can, you know, I'm guilty of that in my own business. You know, there's certain things that I have not delegated or automated, like I mentioned a moment ago. For example, most all SEO decisions come through me. And I've always kind of, and again, this goes back to that founder syndrome, you know, where the professional, right, and usually it's the founder of the company, wants to be involved and has trouble letting go sometimes. And I'm kind of in that camp too. And like I said, when it comes to SEO decisions, but fortunately, I've learned over the years, especially over the last 5 years, as we've really scaled, especially because of white label services and providing that, we've had to systematize our process because we do higher volume services now because we're serving and fulfilling for dozens and dozens of agencies. And so because of that, we've had to learn how to build standard operating procedures and to productize our services so that they're systematizable. In other words, create like a almost like an assembly line. And I think a lot of businesses have the capacity or ability to do that, like to systematize their services, their all of that, but they don't because it's hard. It's not easy, and it takes time. It's a very tedious process to develop SOPs and document how tasks are executed, all that kind of stuff. It's very tedious to do, but it's a very high leverage activity because if you are able to develop those sort of processes, it allows you to scale, right? To delegate, duplicate, and therefore scale. But not only that, having documented procedures for how deliverables are provided, how tasks are completed, et cetera, that also kind of increases the quality of work and the consistency because now you have, you know, a standard operating procedure that must or should be followed at every time. And once you have at least a standard operating procedure that is detailed enough to be able to train other personnel to then be able to take over that activity or execute that task, that is the building block or the foundation needed to then automate it with AI assistance. And I think that is a lot. I know from talking with a lot of local businesses and agencies that there's, you know, they're overwhelmed with how to use AI in an effective way, other than to just, you know, create content and such, which is how most people still use AI. But I think there's a real opportunity to actually, you know, use AI and build workflows that can take a lot of the kind of task and repetitive tasks and menial tasks, right, off of the plate of the personnel, the humans of the company, and allow them to focus on higher level things.
So, Mr. Bradley, how do you design process for a remote or hybrid team for the start, ensuring they empower clarity and autonomy rather than creating a feeling of micromanagement?
Great question. So what I've always done is I create kind of I will create an SOP initially for most of the you know, tasks in my company that, or my organization that I need to delegate, that I'm trying to unload from myself. And you know, I've done this over years now, so I've got an SOP library that you know, it makes it easy to, whenever we have new hires, they come in, we've already got documentation. And what I typically do is have other employees that have already been through that process and have, you know, become proficient with whatever task it is that the new hire is also going to learn. They have SOPs, but then I usually have one of my team members who's already been through that process act as their coach, right? To kind of guide them, their mentor, while, so that I don't have to do it. And as far as micromanaging, you know, I don't do that at all, period. So because of my SOPs, and what I do with the SOPs is I create them. When I say SOPs, I record screencast videos narrating the task being completed. And I'm very detailed in my narration. And then once I have the video done, then I turn that into a step-by-step written procedure as well, so that you know, whoever we're delegating the SOP to has both a video and a step-by-step written process for executing that task. But I always create the SOP like, and when I say it at a crude level, I mean, I learn how to do a task good enough to be able to develop an SOP document to show how it's executed, even if it's not executed at a very proficient or efficient level. But then when I assign it to a personnel and I say, listen, this is going to be your role, your responsibility for, the next several weeks or months or whatever it is, then I say the SOP, I want you to follow that initially, just because I want you to learn the process. And I know that this, following this particular process will achieve the desirable result. However, because you're going to be doing it consistently, I want you, so my employee, right? I want you to then go find ways to make it more efficient or to improve the process. So I actually empower my team members to take what I give them initially and just follow it initially. But then I want them to kind of have some skin in the game, so to speak. I want them to feel empowered to kind of be creative and make the process better. And so that's what I always task them with it. I say, look, if you find something that if you find ways to make this process more efficient, or you find tools or apps that can help make this process more efficient, you let me know and we'll update the SOP. And so I actually get my team members to help me improve the SOPs over time.
Mr. Mark, where should a founder start with the chaotic operation? How do I identify the first process to document and automate that will create the most immediate leverage of team relief?
Great question. And so for me, again, I always recommend the two most important things I think to automate first or delegate first, automate or delegate, are going to be repetitive tasks, things that are done consistently that take time. So for example, like as a white label agency, reporting for performance, reporting for marketing campaigns, et cetera. That's something that should, if done manually, it's very tedious, excuse me, and it takes a lot of time because it has to be every month. We have to develop reports for the same clients. So stuff like that could be automated. The other thing that I always recommend, or automated or delegated, the other thing that I recommend is anything that you don't like to do, right? So anything that I think most people get into business, entrepreneurs start a business because they have a passion for the thing that they do, whatever that is. But as all business owners know, there's parts of running a business, even if you're in your passion industry or whatever, that you just don't like or that you're not good at, right? And so those things are the things that I think like are mentally draining for the founder or anybody on the team. And so anything that is undesirable, those are, in my opinion, one of the first things. Those and any sort of undesirable task and repetitive tasks. Those are the two things that I recommend starting with, so that you get more time back, but then also you get all the things off of your plate that you don't like to do, so that you can focus on what you do enjoy doing, which typically means it's going to get done better. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, Mr. Bradley. What's your framework for deciding what to automate or what to delegate and what to keep a high skill founder led activity? Is it purely about time save or share a strategic lens?
For me, I think from the kind of biggest thing for me right now, for my agency as a white label service provider, we had as little as 6 months ago, as many as 28 employees, no kidding. But over the last 6 months, due to AI, we've been able to significantly reduce our personnel, which has increased our profit margins as well. Now we're down to, I think, 14 employees. So about 50% of our employees have been kind of redelegated to other tasks. So because we've, a lot of our employees at Semantic Links were content, employees. Like, in other words, they would generate content and edit it, insert links, publish those posts with the links on various, publications, et cetera. So I've been able to automate a lot of that using AI. We still have personnel in place. We still have humans that oversee everything, but we have a lot of automation in place now, using things like N8N. So building workflows that help to automate the process, which makes our operation more efficient, more scalable, and more profitable. And so because of that, I think that's kind of where, again, as I mentioned a moment ago, that where businesses should start are repetitive tasks and undesirable tasks. But you need to kind of zoom out and look at the overall organization and try to identify where there are points of friction or resistance through the process of delivering whatever the products or service are that the company provides, and try to identify where there are the biggest opportunities or the highest leverage opportunities to be able to make the process more efficient, right? To reduce friction. And so, it's not easy because you have to, I think you really have to spend time analyzing the business and knowing. Also, here's another thing that I recommend too, when looking for opportunities for automation, et cetera, is also understanding your numbers as far as what products or services are the most profitable. What is the ROI on them, right? What is the most popular types of products or services that the company provides? And then working on automation for selling more of those things, and looking for ways to use AI to help identify where there is, which products or services are the most profitable, and perhaps which products or services are less profitable or maybe not profitable at all that should be let go. And so I think there's an opportunity for, not just automating and delegating through SOP development, but also using AI and to identify where there's how to make the business more profitable. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, Mr. Bradley. Makes sense indeed. And let's talk about the content engine. For an online business, scaling content creation is a crucial but creative. How do
Mhm.
you build a repeatable process for ideation, creation, or distribution without making the output feel generic?
Well, you have to have a human involved, at least in my opinion, you do still. We use AI to generate the content now. We have like I said, we developed an end-to-end workflow that is basically, we have a Google spreadsheet that my content team at Semantic Links goes in, and all they do is put in the company name, and in the spreadsheet, the company name, the website URL, the topic of the article, and then basically there's a little drop down in the spreadsheet that says, draft, go draft mode or whatever. And it triggers the N8N workflow, and it goes through a series of different nodes that develop the outline, draft the article for the outline, then creates an image from that outline using Leonardo.ai. So like there's a number of steps that it goes through to develop the article and the media that goes with the article. And then eventually it comes to an output, which is a Google Doc that has the article formatted with the images and everything else in it already. But then that's when the human goes in and edits it, reviews it, makes some minor changes to it, and then copies it and publishes it to an actual blog. So that's where our humans we went from, like I mentioned a moment ago, having 28 full-time employees, which about 18 of those were content people, down to about 14 employees, with I think we've got 5 content people left from 18. So believe it or not, we were able to reduce our team, or the size of, or the personnel requirements for us to be able to manage over 200 Google Business Profile locations for local clients through our white label agency services. We went from 18 content team members down to 5, and we didn't miss a beat. And that was because of being able to build automation with that sort of a process in. As you asked though, like none of our content is just purely AI, like from start to finish, like from creation to publishing. We always have a human in the mix, at least for now. And I think that's kind of required, because if not, then you end up with what they call AI slop, or you could anyways. And one last thing about that is it's important for your audience to understand that right now, something that I think all businesses that are publishing content consistently should be doing is assigning authorship to the content. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of kind of suppression filters that are being applied to content now, because the algorithms know that it's AI generated. And so one of the things that help bypass the suppression filters for content being, publishing content, is assigning authorship to it, to where, like, for example, if an agency is publishing content on behalf of a local business, then instead of it just publishing generic content about the business that's promoting the brand, et cetera, they should assign an employee or the founder or some brand ambassador, a spokesperson for the company, as the author of that content, because that kind of helps it's almost like it just instantly bypasses suppression filters when somebody stakes a claim to the content and puts their name on it as the author. And so as an agency, we typically will publish the content on our client's behalf. But what I found is the content performs way better right now if we associate that content with a subject matter expert that works at the company. Typically, it's going to be the founder, but sometimes it might just be an employee at the company or whatever. As long as they're verifiable, an employee at the company, and they have credentials, that helps it to automatically perform better, the content, when it's assigned to them as the author. If that makes sense.
Makes sense, Mr. Bradley. So, on the modern challenges and the future, how are AI and automation tools changing the playbook for building scalable online process today? What is the task that was hard to systematize year ago that is now ripe for automation?
Well, I think the a lot of jobs can be replaced by AI, and I know that scares a lot of people, but I think actually, it opens up opportunities to pursue other, like for individuals that to pursue other things, because a lot of a lot of jobs, especially as an agency, as I just mentioned, we had 18 team members for content. Now we've got 5, and we're still scaling. So that's where I see the opportunity for agencies and business, even any type of local business. There are things that they can utilize AI to make their operations more lean, more efficient, and more profitable, as I mentioned before. So but you just asked, like, for example, I was talking earlier about how the SEO decision making is something that I still do, and I still have a very difficult time delegating that or letting go of that. But I am starting to, a year ago, even 6 months ago, I don't know that I'd be able to do this. Now the technology and AI has advanced enough to where I can start to develop some assistance in making those SEO decisions using AI. It's kind of there's a lot of training to be done, because you have to have memory, persistent memory, or what's called context graph, excuse me. But then also decision logic, and all of that has to be trained to an AI, and that's going to take time. So that's something that I'm working on now. I don't think I'll be able to fully replace myself in the decision making with AI, but I know that I can get assistance from that, to where, for example, I could have AI review campaigns and provide its suggestions based upon how I trained the model to be able to analyze and make decisions. And then it would notify me that I just have to review those decisions to either approve them or revise them before shipping or pushing it out to the client, publishing and delivering to the client. And so, even like I said, 6 months ago, a year ago, the technology wasn't such that I could have started to build that AI assistance for decision making, but now it is there. There are apps that can integrate with AI, with persistent memory, context graph, and decision logic, to where it can be programmed, although it will take some time.
Mr. Bradley, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please don't listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in 5th season, Abstract Poetry in 2nd season, and Mob Book 101 Review 6th season this year, Comedy 101 in 3rd season, and Mob Food 101 is 6th season as well, Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our 5th season, and Science 101, Sex 101, and 3rd season, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101, Motivation are more are my baby podcasts. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Bradley, looking back, what is one process failure you experienced that taught you more valuable lesson than any of your success in scaling?
That's a good question. Developing processes for the wrong thing. That's and what I mean by that. Well, I mentioned earlier, using AI, or you don't have to use AI, but it can certainly help to identify where you should be focusing your attention within a business, right? If you don't know your numbers about your products and services, like what is most profitable, what are your margins, that kind of thing, you can oftentimes make poor decisions as to where you should be spending your time. Ask me how I know. So I've spent a lot of time on developing processes for certain products or services that weren't really profitable, and that time would have been spent better elsewhere had I known my numbers more. And so it was about 4 years ago that there was a Dan Kennedy book called Ruthless Protection of People and Profits or something like that. It's a no BS book from Dan Kennedy that I read, and it completely changed my business because it really to me, it helped me recognize the importance of knowing your numbers down to the pennies. And if you understand that, then you know where to invest your time to the more profitable products and services and let go of those that aren't. And so had I known that earlier in my business career, I could have saved a lot of time on wasted effort for products or services that weren't very profitable.
Mr. Bradley Benner, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And can you please invite the listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Sure. I would say for if anybody's curious about just more local marketing information, we have a YouTube channel. Every Wednesday we do a webinar. It's a free Q&A webinar about local marketing and running a local marketing agency. It's called Hump Day Hangouts. The Semantic Mastery is the YouTube channel. So if you look at youtube.com/@Semantic Mastery, you can check that out. Otherwise, my white label link building services and white label SEO services, you can check that out at semanticlinks.io, which is what's on screen. Check it out. If you want to schedule a call with me, you can go to semanticlinks.io and just book a call with me, and happy to have a chat with you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Bradley Benner, because if you support him, for sure more and more empowering advocacy like this rise. And one more question, Mr. Bradley. If you had to give one piece of final advice to founder about to embark on scaling their business online, what would be the non-negotiable first step for their process, John?
Start now. That would be it. Don't wait. Start now. Because if you I know that a lot of businesses will wait until the timing is right, and really everything's shifting so fast. The time's never going to be right. Just get in there and start working on building SOPs and automating where possible, and that's the only way you're going to be able to keep up with the changing times, is to just be in there doing.
Yes, people, just now, and stop procrastinating. So, Mr. Bradley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Daniel.
Monica, people, see you